Hello, everyone. It's Sunday once again. As you know, it's my favorite day of the week because I get a chance to talk to awesome drummers every Sunday. It's now gone 4 o'clock here in the UK, which means it's 11 at night in Manila. Hope some of you, my dear friends in the Philippines, are still up and joining us live. So welcome to another episode of Ask the Drummer. Well, today's episode is actually really special for me because, as most of you know, I am a big fan of Mick Head. And any musician who's played with Mick Head, I'm really, really interested in. And our guest played with Mick Head even before the Pale Fountains. It's like his early band. Although he was a keyboard player when he played with Mick Head. But again, this episode is also a surprise for me because I didn't realize that he was a drummer too. So I'm just really shocked when I found out that he's a drummer still and he's still playing still as a drummer. But anyways, also he's a successful actor and he's done lots of films and TV shows and everything. And also, I found out recently that he's from a very well-known family in Liverpool. I'm so pleased to have him here. My dear friends, please welcome Paul Codman.
Hi.
Hey!
Hello.
How are you, Paul?
I'm very well, thank you. Yeah, I'm good. I'm great.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for saying yes to Ask the Drummer. So,
My absolute pleasure.
yeah, because like I've said, I've known you as a keyboard player in
With Mick, yeah.
yeah, and it wasn't like a long time ago that I found out about it. It's only because I think it was you who posted an old photograph of Egypt for now,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Ken Moss shared it.
Yeah,
And
Ken, yeah.
yeah, and I thought, oh wow, this is amazing. So, and then of course I sent you a friend request, and thankfully you accepted my friend request. So, I saw you last Sunday at
You
the
did, yeah.
British Music Experience in
hmm
Liverpool,
Yeah.
and was it really the first time you seen McHead after 30 years?
Oh no, it wasn't 30 years. It was a long time. The last time I saw Mick actually was Tom Cooper, who's I don't know if he still plays in a band. He was the guitarist, I think. Well, Tom's dad, Steve. Tom Powell. Tom
Tom
Powell.
Powell,
Tom
yeah,
Powell.
yeah,
Yeah. Tom's dad, Steve, is an old friend of mine, and Steve's married to an old college friend of mine. And Steve was playing with Mick, and he was producing him. Um, and then I got invited to Tom's 30th at the Zanzibar, and one of the girls who works in the BME, Mel, she said, "You're going to Tom's 30th?" And I said, "Yep." And she said, "How?" And I said, "Well, I'm an old pal of his dad and his mum." And she said, "Steve?" And I said, "Yeah." And she said, "Yeah, he's playing with Mick." So this is probably at least about 6 years ago. So I did see Mick briefly because he was playing. We didn't get a
yeah,
chance to talk.
yeah.
But the last time I saw him before that, it wasn't 30 years, but it was a long, long
A
time.
long time ago,
We'd
yeah.
pass like ships in the night on Bowl Street and would say, "Do you want to go for coffee? Do you want to go for a drink?" And we'd never have time. So it was last Sunday was a lovely event, and it was great to see Mick and swap details with Saida as well. So
Yeah,
hopefully
yeah.
we'll get out. We'll get out again. Yeah, but just great memories, and we lived in the same area in Liverpool as well. So I know, and John as well. I've not seen John for a while, so it's always nice when you meet up with old pals. So yeah.
Yeah, and they've just released the Shaq's album HMS Fable. First time
Gosh,
on vinyl. So have you
he's
got a
such
copy?
a talented lad. I don't do that. I'm one of those. You see, when I was younger, I used to move around college and places. You had a suitcase the size of a block of flats, and it was full of vinyl and a stereo. Now I can carry 600 albums in my back pocket, plug them into the hotel system, and you're away. So all that stuff about vinyl is warm. It's great, and you get the lyrics and the pictures. But I'm afraid I've downsized a bit.
Yeah,
But vinyl is great.
yeah, yeah.
A good friend
Oh,
of mine, Jeff's got Good Time Records on County Road, and it's still the old school type
oh
vinyl.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You
I
should
have been
get out.
there.
You should get out there. Yeah.
Yeah, I have been there once, but it's
All right.
because it's
Okay.
out of the city centre. So you
Yeah,
have to go like get the bus and then go there and then back again. So
yeah.
I have been once. I have met Jeff.
Jeff, he's great. Yeah,
And he's
but
given me he's
there's a
given
big
me a badge
Weatherspoons
as
next.
well.
He's giving you a.
A badge.
Did he? Oh, well, there's a big Weatherspoons next door as well.
It's like I think it was Frank and Walter's badge that he gave me because he said that it's skinny. So you're skinny, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The roadie,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's Skinny's favorite band, so he said, "I'll give you this one. Show it to Skinny." So
A Frank and Walter's badge. My gosh,
yeah,
that's cool. Yeah. No, he's a good lad, Jeff. I've known Jeff for a long time. Yeah.
yeah. Well, talking of Steve Bauer, I just
Mm-hmm.
wanted to say that today is actually the it was 7 years ago when Adios and Your Pussycat was released, which is my Glenn
Really?
Redgrass. But it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
produced by Steve Bauer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so. So happy birthday to Adios and Your Pussycat. But also
7 years.
yeah,
My
seems like
gosh,
only yesterday.
it just
Yeah,
feels.
yeah. But also, before we continue, I just want to say thank you so much for telling me about that Paolo Hewitt talk. I wouldn't have known about it, but otherwise,
That came about completely by coincidence because one of the little things I do is the tour buses, as you know, and one a fellow guide, Gary Friday, he just happened to mention me he was doing this piece that came about through Paolo's football books, and he said, "Can you get along?" And I said, "I'll get along after work." And then he rang me and he said, "Do you know Mick Head?" And I said, "Yeah, I know Mick." And we had a little chat about the history of Mick. And he said, "Well, Mick's going to do a little interview with Paolo." And I said, "Well, that's, that was just the icing on the cake." And then that was it. Yeah, it was absolutely, yeah, it was great. Yeah, it all
yeah,
fell into place. Yeah.
yeah. I'm really glad you told me about it. I mean, and also I have to say thank you to Lloyd Ryan, my guest last week, for rescheduling it from 2 o'clock to 6 o'clock in the evening, so I was able to go and see Mick Head and do
Oh,
Astronomer as well. So
you
thanks
have
to
influence. You have influence.
yeah. So, anyways, welcome to Ask the Drummer, episode 146. It's all about you, Paul Codman.
Just my
You,
age.
you were born and bred in Liverpool, is that
I
right?
was, yeah, yeah. Kensington, where Mick and John lived.
Oh,
Yorkie, the McGann brothers, and Jimmy McGovern, TV
yeah.
writer. Yeah. Hmm.
And I've got to say, you're from the well-known Codman dynasty of Liverpool as
Yeah.
well.
The
Uh,
Punch and Judy
the,
family.
the Punch and Judy family.
Hmm.
Can you tell us about? Because it's when we say, "Are you from a musical family?" You're actually from like a well-known
Actually,
dynasty.
as well as the Punch and Judy, the family are all, well, not all, but there's quite a lot of the family ancestors who are all performers or concert hall managers. There's a book on the family by a guy called John M. East, and he married one of the Codmans, and he was the theatre manager of the Lyric in Hammersmith in 1899, and I worked there in 1990, and I didn't realize one of my ancestors had run the place. So this book comes up to 1958 when I was born, and the family tree and the index. Leah Codman was an actress, all different people, the East, and a guy called John M. Codman. He took the first electric moving cinema pictures into Wales, and there's a family strand in Wales that does the Punch and Judy. So it is
Wow.
but the Punch and Judy started it originates in Commedia dell'arte, and it's Punchinello and Columbine. They're the original figures, and through the years, it's kind of gone through a very popular period at seaside towns, although in
Yeah.
Liverpool, inner cities, and now we're in a completely different political climate. So it is considered in many quarters as un-PC, as I said, in the same vein as Itchy and Scratchy from The Symptoms and Tom and Jerry as well. And I get that with people, but I just think of the old days when I used to carry the boxes of puppets for 5 bob, 25
Yeah.
pence.
I mean, I was saying to you earlier that coming originally from the Philippines, we didn't have Punch and Judy, so
No,
I
no.
was really sort of like all I know about it is it was a seaside sort of like treat for kids and things.
And schools, you would go into schools as well, and in the summer holidays, Grandad and Uncle Ronnie used to go around the parks, and it was in the summer holidays when I was free from school when you would carry the boxes. But you had better weather and better food in the Philippines, much better.
Well, I do love our food in the Philippines. So, yeah. So what was your Liverpool like when you were growing up? So you're very much into that Punch and Judy, so like helping out your
Um,
granddad and
to,
your
well,
family.
that was kind of like when I was a kid at school, and that was kind of like between 12 and 13. And to be honest, that was just because my dad would have said, "Your granddad's doing a thing." What happened was my cousin used to do it, and then they moved over to the Wirral, so I kind of got the job, I suppose. Um, that was that's just by I suppose you could say it's in the theatre thing is in the blood, but that was what I just thought was by coincidence because it was granddad and uncle. And then when I got to, I'd say 14, my big hero and still is David Bowie. I mean, I love
Yeah,
like yourself. You have such an eclectic, wide taste. I love so many different types of music. But if somebody pinned me down, I would say, well, glam rock was when I was most impressionable, which led into punk,
yeah,
reggae, new romantics, and all sorts of different stuff. And just as I was discovering David Bowie, a pal who was a year or two older broadened that into Iggy Pop, Lou Reed, the Velvets, the Doors, etc.
yeah,
Um, and then another older friend introduced me to reggae. But when I got into Bowie, that was when I started to get interested in being a player, and it was the drums that first attracted me. I always knew as a drummer I wanted to do something else, but I didn't want to be the front man. I didn't want to be the singer. I didn't want to be the guitarist, but I knew there was something else in me. And obviously that was acting. And then
yeah.
by pure fluke, somebody introduced me to acting. And I actually thought, right, this is goodbye rock and roll, hello Chekhov. But
Um,
being an actor with a musical string to your bow is very handy. Yeah,
yeah,
that was it. So the two things just became in tandem then. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Oh, before I forget, I just want to say hello to Joe McKechnie because it was
Is
him who
Joe
actually
there?
told. Yeah,
Hello,
Joe
Joe.
McKechnie because he's the one who told me about the Punch and
The
Judy.
Punch
He
and
connected
Judy, did
it.
he?
I didn't know about it. I
And he
told
lives
him,
in
oh,
our flat.
yeah, that's right. I wasn't sure whether he wanted me to tell you that,
No,
but
that's
no,
fine.
yeah, that's
I know he
fine.
pulled out a fabulous wardrobe. He told me.
Yeah. So, are these the original things still in the Museum of Liverpool, or have they been?
No,
Um,
actually, the artifacts from the Punch and Judy have been put away. And a couple of years ago, I
oh,
found out there
okay.
was some artifacts that I'd not seen. So I asked the museum, could I view them? And I think they thought I wanted to steal them because I got this quite guarded response of, "You can't have them; they belong to us, and they were donated." And I said, "I don't want them. I don't have the space to keep anything. I only keep one drum kit. I know drummers who have like 7 kits. Tony O'Keefe has like 22 million drum kits. I don't know where he keeps them." And I said, "No, I just want to view them." So they brought these artifacts out of storage. I was taken into a private room. I was allowed to view them, and as a family member, I was allowed to photograph them. Um, I didn't want them. I can't carry boxes of puppets. I
No.
don't carry vinyl. I want 600 albums in that big. I'm not going to carry puppets around them. But it was nice. It was nice to see the artifacts again. And quite often, because the name is unusual, people from out of Liverpool would say, "You're not by any chance related to?" And I say, "Yeah, it was my granddad." And
It was like,
it's a nice story. I have had
yeah,
the other side. I got stuck in a traffic jam with a tour bus, and I'd exhausted everything I could think about. And as you probably know, I can talk for England. And we were by Lime Street, and it just came into my head. I said, "Oh, just while we're here, folks, and we're stuck in the traffic, my granddad used to do a Punch and Judy show right on this spot." And then I said, "You don't really see it very often now." And a lady's voice at the back said, "Quite right, too." And I thought, well, I've obviously upset someone. So I only talk about it if people ask me now.
yeah, yeah.
Which is, I totally get it. We live in a totally different climate,
Different, yeah, yeah,
politically, sexually, gender wise. So I get that, and, that school of, oh, my granddad's always said that. No, that's not good enough. We have to educate people. And if that means being careful, then be careful,
yeah,
so. But
yeah,
I still have great memories. I still have fond memories. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Well, in those days, it was really popular because they also had like variety shows. in those
Yeah.
days.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and what I've discovered is there was a variety show where on the bill, the same bill, there's Codman's Punch and Judy show, and there's also Keith Hartley band. Now the
Yeah.
connection that the
The Keith
connection that
Hartley
was
band. Yeah.
Keith Hartley was mentioned last week when I had Lloyd Bryan, because I think Keith Hartley was taught by Lloyd Bryan how to play drums.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what I was going to ask you is because of that connection, did you get to see that show? And
I did. I
was
didn't
that the
see.
one?
I didn't see the Keith Hartley one. I
Yeah,
have. I mean, you got some. It's over 50 years ago now. I do have a vague memory of being either in, I think, Warrington or Manchester, and
yeah,
we were moved from outdoor because the weather was so bad, and the Bonzos were playing. But I can only vaguely remember this. And there is something to do with the scaffold. And my cousin, who used to carry the boxes as well as me, he still does occasional one-off gigs with the scaffold as well. I don't have memories of the scaffold, but I do have some vague recollection of the Bonzos. But as a 12-year-old, if it would have been
yeah,
Slade, it would have knocked me sideways. But the Bonzos didn't, not being
yeah.
rude to them, but the Bonzos didn't mean anything to me at 12.
Right,
Slade and T Rex did, but not
yeah.
not. But
What was that
yes,
like?
they performed for King George V as well. They did a show for
Oh,
King George V. Yeah, yeah.
that's
There is a
amazing.
fascinating history. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was wanting to ask you is because you mentioned David Bowie, because I wanted to ask you what got you into drumming and not, into.
Uh, you know what? I wouldn't say I was a. I always say I'm a percussionist, and I've never had a drum lesson. I love dancing. I love dancing, and I don't mean when I was at college we had to do national dance and tap dancing, and tap
Oh,
I liked because tap has different sounds and rhythms and pace and stuff. Um, but if I'm at home, I'll listen to anything from Tom Waits to Beethoven. If I'm out and I'm having a beer, if I hear a Motown tune, I'm off. I'm off. Bob Marley, reggae, anything like that.
yeah,
As soon as I hear a tap, it's just and I think it's that. I think it's that what got me into drumming. And I love to, and I do little bits now, and I love to play. But I'm not a big technical drummer. I don't do big flash fills and all that. I like a drummer who service the songs, keep the beat, keep the beat.
yeah,
That's what's great about Motown music. People think Motown is so simple. It's just a and it just gets your toe tapping. That's what I love: percussion and dancing. Yeah.
yeah. So you not had the proper drumming lessons at all? No.
No. No.
And can I just ask you, what was your first band as a drummer?
First band as a drummer.
Yeah.
Actually, first band. This is weird. Was probably when with the guy who introduced me to more music. When we were 14, we had one acoustic guitar, a bass guitar, and I had a snare drum with a cymbal, and it didn't have a stand. And I used to put a knitting needle through the hole in the cymbal into the hollow cymbal stand. And we were called, this is in 1974, we were called Trash and the Punk. And I didn't come up with that name. So we were like 4 years ahead of punk. And we used
Yeah.
to do Bowie covers, Iggy Pop covers, and Lou Reed covers. Try telling anybody that and they wouldn't believe you. But that was the very first band. But that never got out of the bedroom, that band. The first
Oh,
proper recorded band was the Mutants.
yeah, yeah. That's the one that you actually released a
Two
7 inch,
singles.
two
Two
singles.
singles.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's right.
yeah.
Yeah.
And we were the
So
UK Mutants because after that there was an American Mutants. But we were the first UK Mutants. Yeah.
ah,
And the guy who came up with that name, John Weaver, used to have Skeleton Records in Birkenhead, and sadly John's gone now. But
yeah,
there was a rave club in Birkenhead by the tunnel called the Pleasure Dome. But before that, it was Mr. Digby's, and it was a live venue. And you would see first gig we did, we supported Slaughter of the Dogs, Doctors of Madness, Eddie and the Hot Rods. It was a great venue, That and
yeah,
that was the impressionable punk days. There was that, and Eric's was the big club, of course, in this area,
yeah.
Merseyside. But Mr. Digby's was a good
Is
venue.
yeah,
John had just been to New York as punk broke, 76, 77, and he
yeah.
sent us a postcard. He was our manager, and he said, I've seen two bands the last two nights. One's going to be massive and one are brilliant as well. And it was Blondie and the Ramones.
And the Ramones. Oh wow, it's amazing. Well,
Yeah.
Aiden said that Aiden is my text boy. He said sound and picture excellent, and he's also a big Bowie fan.
Hmm.
And he's born same year as you. He said,
Right.
but yeah, I wanted to talk about the Mutants because you actually had success with the Mutants. You're not just releasing two singles, but
We did,
the
yeah,
first, yeah,
we did some tours with some big bands, yeah.
yeah, yeah, because your first gig was Slaughter and the Dogs, and they're like
Mhm.
the Manchester punk band of the
They
time.
were great. They were cool. They were great,
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah. We were the first punk band to go to the Isle of Man. And we got stopped and searched when we got off. And the
yeah.
singer thought it would be cool to take a birch because that's what they used to punish people with, the birch, the twig. So that didn't go down well. And we were supporting two out and out rock bands called Debris and Exile. And this was 4 years before this, I'd been in the Lido as a young lad watching Slade, and we'd met them. So then you play in that venue 4 or 5 years later, and you're thinking, "Oh, we've made it, and we've got a dressing room with carpets and a tap, and you know." And me and one of the guitarists were walking at the back of the venue, and these two like rock chicks came along and said, "Are you the Mutants?" And like dead cool, we said, "Yeah," and they said, "Well, f off back to Liverpool and leave the real music to the rock bands." So yeah, completely deflated us. We went from there to there. We were. Yeah, but it didn't bother us because punk was a movement. It was about attitude. It wasn't about posturing and But yeah, that was our
Have you
first
been back
taste.
to the Alman? Yeah, have you been back to the Alman after that?
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
And
so
we did some good support. We supported the Police
yeah,
at the Roxy in London,
yeah.
Ultravox, Buzzcocks. They
Both
were
got
great. The
slots.
Buzzcocks,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
R.I.P. Pete Shelley. Yeah, they were lovely. The Buzzcocks, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. No, it was a
Well,
good time.
yeah, what I wanted to ask you is, in the Mutants, you called yourself Paul Pleasant.
And Paul
And
Plums as
is
well. I didn't. No, I didn't. That was down to somebody else in the band who was doing the artwork for the singles. I didn't know my names until those singles came out. So on the first one, I was called
see.
Paul Pleasant, and I said,
Yeah.
"Why are you calling me Paul Pleasant?" And the guy from the band actually said it was the guy in the studio who came up with it. And I said, "Why does he think I'm pleasant?" He said, "No, he thinks you're an effing lunatic." So he's gone the opposite way, and he thought he'd call you Pleasant. As soon as I'd laid the drum track down, I went to the joke shop next door and bought Frankenstein bolts, put them on my neck, and a Frankenstein sort of, all the stitches. And I
Oh, this
went
is
in,
yeah.
and they were laying down the other instruments, and I was going, "Oh!" I just didn't say. To me, being in the band was about drinking beer and getting girls. That's all I wanted. And then the second single, they said, "We've changed your name," and I said, and they called me Paul Plums.
So
Yeah,
it's got nothing to do with uh
me being
you don't
pleasant.
want to be associated with the Punch and Judy Codman family.
Oh
It's
no,
nothing to do with that.
no, the music has got nothing to do with that. No,
Okay, so
you thought
yeah.
pleasant was to do with the no, oh, that's a new one. No,
No, because I just thought maybe you didn't want to be associated with being part of the Punch and Judy thing,
oh
so you
no,
had to
no,
change
no,
your
no,
name to
no.
Paul Plastic.
I had as a kid, I had a great time. It was very, I suppose it was unusual and different. And there was little things like when we would do when Grandad and Uncle Ronnie would do the shows in the summer holidays in the park, Sefton Park, Nugent Park. It wasn't just him and it was like it was almost like a variety show for kids. It would be free.
Yeah, yeah,
There'd be a dance troupe, and Grandad would do competitions, and he'd do the puppets as well. And the competitions, they could win little prizes, come on stage and skip and different things. But the dance troupe was run by a choreographer called Vera Corrin, and she used to provide the Diddy men for Ken Dodd, because there was one day when they were a Diddy man short, and they said, my granddad said, "Yeah, I use him. He's only little," but they only used. They were all girls, the Diddy men. They were all young girl dancers, not boys. In the costumes, they were all girls. Yeah. So that was sexism before it even kicked in. I couldn't be a Diddy man. I couldn't be a Diddy man because I was a man or a little man.
yeah. But going back to the Mutants,
Yeah,
you you've had you've had this punk attitude. I mean,
yeah,
the band had this
yeah,
punk attitude.
yeah.
And was it true that you were throwing flower bags, like
Yeah.
a flower bags on stage? And
What
I,
that was
I
down to me. What happened was we played with Slaughter and the Dogs. It was the very first time I played live, and the drummer from Slaughter and the Dogs, he had flour on his kit, and when they did the first number and he hit the toms, it was like dry ice. Well, I thought that was dead cool, so I thought I would do it, and I thought I'd take it to its full extent. What I didn't realize that what you do is you put a very fine film of flour on the skin. So when you hit it, you get this. But what I did is I put a 3 pound bag of self raising over the kit. So when I hit the kit, it just went. Everybody was like a polar bear, issy no ho. It was like I had glue on my hands because all the sweat on my hands started to mix with the flour, and it just became chaos. So I'm sorry, lads. Yeah. Yes. So Slaughter and the Dogs executed it perfectly, but I just turned the stage into a bakery. A
Yeah, well,
bakery. Yeah.
that has to be Mad Muffet, Brian
Yeah.
Grantham, because I had him on the show as well.
Yeah.
The drummer of Slaughter and the Dogs. He's absolutely brilliant as well. So, another one is it also true that you were banned at Eric's?
We were banned from Eric's. Yeah. Yeah. Because what happened was there's a little bit more to this because we weren't considered a full on proper punk band because we were a mixture of I suppose speed rock. I always thought we were more true to our roots than some other bands because although punk had an attitude, a lot of it was posturing, and the Vivian Westwood and Malcolm McLaren clothes were not punk. They were very expensive fashion items. So we had a mixture of a couple of punks, but we also had a couple of rockers. But we our roots were like in as well as being in the UK punk was in the Ramones, the MC5. We were big fans of the MC5, the Stooges, the very early
Yeah,
Stooges.
yeah,
And
yeah,
when we supported the Police, um, Stuart Copeland's and I think his brother Miles Copeland, he was managing them, and our manager had got him to have a look at us. And he looked at us and he said, before we even start talking the music, you get those two to grow the hair and smell, or you get those two to cut the hair and start wearing safety pins. And it became about the fashion. And we never did. We just stuck to what
oh,
we
okay,
did.
yeah,
So we were never considered, I think, cool enough for Eric's. And
yeah,
a lot of the Eric's people were putting flyers for their gigs all over the place. And we bumped, not me, but some of the other lads bumped into not the Bromley contingent, the lads who used to hang around with the Stranglers, like basically a gang of tough guys. And we were talking to them about it, and they said, well, why don't you fly at his place? So we completely plastered Eric's with posters for our gigs, and Roger Eagle hit the roof, and he really didn't like it. He was going to sue us and everything, and we were like, well, we've only got £4 between us. So you can do what you want. Somebody told Joe Strummer when the Clash played, still my favourite gig at Eric's. And Joe Strummer got wind of it. So Joe Strummer put in the NME. I think Liverpool's Mutants will be the next new wave band for a big breakthrough, which we thought was great. It was never going to
yeah,
happen, but Joe just did it. And I managed to get in the dressing room and thank Joe. And I wish I would have had a mobile then because I'd love to have a picture of me and Strummer, but I've got the memory that I met him. But yet it all got a bit crazy, but that was it. We covered Eric's with our posters, and we weren't so popular.
yeah.
You
And
know.
apparently they tried to sort of like get you on the club double, and it says it's double the the fee, but
Oh yeah, yeah. Afterwards, yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
But we would be on that then. We thought, no, no, you can't. It was weird because we couldn't play Eric's, but we used to go as punters because there was great when you think of not Eric's now, but Eric's
yeah,
in the late '70s. The three punk clubs was the Roxy in Covent Garden, the Electric Circus in Manchester, where we played with I think the Lurkers,
yeah,
and then there was Eric's in Liverpool. The Ramones. Talking Heads, Iggy Pop in 1978, The
yeah,
Clash,
yeah,
Joy Division, The Gang of Four. Sunday nights you would get blues, Aswad, the early Aswad, just and then it became Brady's, and we played Brady's with Yorkie and Mick, but
Yeah.
it was funny because we couldn't play as it was almost like the Cotton Club, we couldn't play, but when you could the reverse of the Cotton Club, you could play as a black musician, but you weren't allowed to go as an audience member. Whereas Eric's, we couldn't play, but we were allowed
But
to
you're
go as an
allowed to. Yeah.
audience member. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Do you regret
crazy.
not playing? Do you regret not saying yes to
Um,
playing it, Eric?
I d- Probably not, because I did kind of get to play it a bit later, because Brady's, to all intents and purposes, was the follow-on from Eric's, and
Okay.
when we supported Bauhaus at Brady's, it was the same dressing room, the same stage and everything, but things had shifted. It's different, and that was great supporting Bauhaus, because I
Yeah.
love,
Yeah.
they were great Bauhaus. So maybe playing Brady's kind of made up for a little bit, but
Well, yeah. We're not
yeah.
playing at Eric's.
But as Egypt for now, we're splitting up. John Peel offers us the session, and because we were going different ways, it didn't happen, But I don't think there's any point. You can only regret the things you do. You can't regret the
Oh,
things you
yeah.
don't do. So,
That's
but
true.
but Eric's for me, just as a young lad, holds great, great, great memories. I don't think I'll ever see anything like Eric's. Probably the equivalent to my brother being in the Cavern in 1964. You know, and I
Yeah.
and I when people say, "Oh, everything was better in my day," it wasn't. It was because you were 18 and you were a sponge and you were soaking up everything. So kids today, whether it's Taylor Swift, the 60s, the Beatles, the 70s, Bowie, punk,
Yeah.
whatever you grow up with, I think
Yeah.
that's your time.
Yeah.
That's the time when you've
Yeah.
got no baggage, you've got no mortgage, no emotional stuff. You're just young and free. And as I say, in the band for me, it was like, let's have a beer, play some tunes, and hopefully meet some girls.
Yeah.
Not the ones in the Isle of Man who told us to go back to England.
You should go back and find out. You look for those girls who saw like ask you about it. But yeah, also I found out that the Mutants were the first Liverpool punk band to play the Roxy as well. So that's
yeah,
another. Yeah,
yeah.
that's
And that was when we supported the Police.
the Police. Yeah, that's right. And is
Yes.
it true that you gate crashed a Vogue magazine fashion shoot?
Oh, I don't
What
remember
happened?
that.
What
I'm not.
happened there? Because yeah, I've read in this article that
I,
you
I
just
used to drink. I used to drink Red Stripe in those days. So there's some things I can't.
you
Maybe we did. When we went to London, loads of things happened. We slept in a van. And then my cousin got chased by a couple of Hell's Angels. We were fortunately only the rest of the gang had gone into this big pub, and we were walking along some big main road in London in the West End, and this chopper bike went past, and these two big hairy guys started laughing at us, and we just shouted some obscenities like, probably cut your hair and get a wash or something. And they pulled up further down, they turned round and they started coming down the pavements about 80 miles an hour. And we ran in the pub and we just held the doors open as if to say, there's 10 of us. Maybe we did. Maybe we did. I don't know. I know we were banned from some other places as well.
yeah,
And my big memory of the Roxy is when we came off stage, because when you came off stage, the Roxy stage was tiny, and you literally stepped off, and 1 foot away you were in the dressing room, and the dressing room was tiny, and we couldn't go in. Now I can't prove this, and I'm not saying this to sort of have a go at anybody, but we couldn't go in the dressing room because one of the band was engaged with a lady in the dressing room.
oh,
So we just come off stage all sweaty, and we couldn't get in the dressing room. I can't tell you. No, I shouldn't really. But that's my main memory. We were locked out of the dressing room by a very famous singer because the drummer, asked the drummer, was doing something in
the
the dressing
drummer.
room.
Oh
Yes. Now there you've got it. I've given you big clues.
God! And the drummer of the Police is actually giving a talk.
Don't say he's on next week. Please don't say he's on.
No, he's not going to be on as a drummer, but he's going to be in Sale.
All right.
End of the month.
Well,
Yeah, he's doing a talk there, but I'm not going because I'm gonna go and see Mick Head
well,
again.
we were all much younger. We were all much younger, and he is a phenomenal drummer. He is a
Yeah,
phenomenal drummer.
he is. But do you know when you support this, like the Police and Buzzcocks and Slaughter
Yeah.
Dogs, do you get to talk to the drummers and do you like exchange like tips and things like that? Or
And
not
I
really?
never did. I never did particularly. Probably because I think subconsciously, um, I don't really. I don't know what it is with drummers. I don't hang around with drummers. I never feel the need or the inclination to ask drummers things. I would talk to the band, but I would never specifically pick out the drummer. I'd just chat to the band generally.
Yeah,
One or two famous bands, and I won't mention this. One or two bands were not the most friendly with us. Um, the Buzzcocks were delightful. The Buzzcocks were absolutely fabulous. Um, and we supported the Jam at Mr. Digby's, and Paul Weller was absolutely delightful as well. But I never picked out the drummer
oh,
because I think I was never really interested in
the
becoming a
technical, the
yeah.
technical side of
I,
drum.
ju- I, ju- I just wanted to show off and have a good time. Yeah, probably why I went into the acting. And now the drummers I like. Um, I mean, certain type of drummer. I love Topper from the Clash and Topper's style.
Yeah,
Good solid hitter, but he's got that jazz and blues influence, and that's why I love John Densmore from the Doors. I love the Doors. As a rock drummer, I'd have to say John Bonham. John Bonham is a phenomenal
yeah,
heavy hitter.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
As a technical drummer, I think Stuart Copeland is absolutely amazing. Phil Collins is an amazing drummer, but Genesis are just not my is not my type of
It's
music.
not your,
Um,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
if I watch a band, I like to watch a band as a band. I don't want. I was never a big fan of Keith Moon. I just thought he was too much for me. Just
Oh,
obviously a great drummer. I have this personal thing. I think some drummers psychologically get caught up with sitting at the back and they start to overplay the part, so they want to do more. A bit like if somebody's in a play and they're only standing
yeah.
at the back, so they start twiddling with the flowers or picking the scabs when somebody's doing an important speech. And it's like, no, we should be focusing on the person
On this,
talking, the singer or the guitarist doing the solo. We don't want to look at you. That's what was great about the original Stones. If you had five Mick and Keiths up front, it's too much to take in. It's like five people in a movie all speaking at once. Mick and Keith giving it large, and now Ronnie Wood as well. But Charlie and Bill, Bill would just a bit like John Brian Deacon from
oh yeah, yeah,
Queen.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Brian would just play along. Bill Wyman just play. Charlie just did his job. You know, he just serviced the song.
Yeah.
But if Keith Moon is your man of the match, then so be it. So be
Yeah,
it.
yeah. I do love watching drummers. I actually make
I know,
sure
of
that
course, yeah. I know you
where
do.
I,
I know.
when I go to a gig, I position myself where I can see them. So
Yeah. The very first stage play I did at the Playhouse in 1984, it was all rock and roll. We were playing a fictional cavern band. I'm not great with creating the drums from scratch. What I can do is replicate what's gone on. So as a stage drummer in a show, I can listen to, say, the Beatles track or the track that needs to be playing. All right, I've got that. I know what to do. Then
yeah,
I learn it like I learn script. Then when I get on stage, you do it when you've got your costume on, and then I pretend it's a hard job. So then I'm going.
yeah.
A very big producer said that's the best stage I've ever seen in my life, and I thought it's not mine. All I'm doing is play. A bit like that's the best Hamlet I've ever seen. So I think drumming for me was almost like, I know it is performance, but performing as an actor.
Yeah, yeah,
And I suppose that's part of the job, especially if you're on tour for 6 weeks, 6 months, to go on stage and play the same beat to the same songs or do the same show with the same script, to make it look for that new audience that it's the first time you've done it because it's the first time they've seen it. It's brilliant. And that broadens into every part of performance. On tour, I've seen actors say, "Oh, it's only the matinee. There's only 40 pensioners in at half price," and I say, "No, no, no. It doesn't matter if they get in free. You give them the same performance that you're going to do on a Saturday night to a packed house. That is your job. That is your commitment as a
Yeah,
performer,
that,
whether it's
yeah,
drumming,
yeah,
guitar and singing or acting. You give. I think you've got to give 100% whatever you do, whether you're doing a charity show, whether you're doing something for £1 million. Give it your all, because we're privileged to be in a job where we get paid to do things we enjoy. I know guys who dig ditches, who work in offices from 9 to 5, and they really do it because they earn a living. I've been privileged to do something that I enjoy.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. That's true. Yeah.
and
Well,
that's my motto. Everybody has their
yeah,
own take on it.
yeah. No, I totally agree. But so from the Mutants, going
Hmm.
back to your drumming drumming
Hmm.
history, so it only lasted for 2 years, and then three of the band members then did Geisha Girls.
The Geisha Girls. Oh yes, yes.
I've got
Oh my
taste. I've got
gosh.
taste for it.
Even I haven't got
You
that.
haven't
Gosh,
got that one.
I need
I
that.
have to say, thank you so much to Chris Curry, who
All
happens
right.
to be a drummer as well. Because do you
Yeah.
know that? Did you know that Chris Curry
Mm.
is a drummer or was a drummer?
Gosh,
With
what you doing with that piece of rubbish?
so was this the only song like the Doctor? That's a brilliant song. It's also in the Revolutionary Spirit compilation boxes. So
Um. Oh, it
it's
is. Yeah, I've forgotten
yeah,
about that. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Jeff showed me that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hang on. No,
So is it
there's
the only song? Was it
no,
the only?
there's also there's an album on Skeleton Records. This again is John Weaver, and this is after the Mutants, and it's called A Trip to the Dentist.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I haven't got that one
And
yet, but
right,
hopefully.
and we do. I can't remember. Gosh, I'm trying to think what we do on that. Maybe we do Doctor on that. And the
Yeah,
blank
yeah, I
tapes.
think yeah,
That's with the Zorky twins and Attempted Moustache. Is it
that's
on the
right.
back? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And
yeah.
some of Attempted Moustache went on to be Half Man, Half Biscuit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm sure at least one of them did. Yeah. Well,
Oh, I see.
if my memory serves me correctly,
Well, there's
it
someone.
wasn't the singer Roy. It wasn't Roy, but some of the others did. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because here it says Paul someone is drums. It made me think whether it's you again. Could
No,
it be you?
I'm on drums with the Geisha. What did they call me on that? Probably something different.
It's
Paul,
Paul Newman.
yeah,
Oh,
because I was a big Bowie fan. Everybody thought I wanted to be Gary Newman. So as another joke, they thought they'd call me Paul Newman. Yeah,
yeah.
and of course Newman on the TV adverts has a completely different thing now. That the new man thing, the advert late at night for
Oh,
men. And we know. Yeah, I've
yeah.
forgotten about that. Yeah, yeah.
So was it just that one song that you released and then you split up after that?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Three of us. Roddy went on. He did his own solo project, Windows, and Steve Cockrell. He's the son of Maurice Cockrell, the artist, and I think after that I went on to college, but then I did Egypt for Now with Mick,
Yeah.
and the other guy Keith, my cousin, he went on to do a million things, a million and one things. Too many bands to remember. After a Fashion, and stuff with the Scaffold. Yeah, you got to remember that's about, is that 1979 or
It's
1980?
1979.
1970. Gee,
Yeah.
gosh,
This the Egypt for Now is 1980. But
yeah.
what made you decide to change from drums to keyboard?
Because I bought a synth, because I was getting into electronic music, and do you know, to be honest, I can't for the life of me and think why I bought a synthesizer. Maybe somebody was just skint and they wanted to go to the pub. I bought that synthesizer, and I was twiddling around with it, and I still had the drum kit, and by that time I was getting the taste for acting, and then I don't know. I can't for the life of me. I can't remember how I got to meet Yorkie and Mick, but it doesn't matter
Yeah.
because they've been great, great memories and times over the years. But one of them just said, "Do you want to play with us?" And I said, I can't play. I just bought it as a toy. And they said, well, it's a monosynth, so you really only play one note. So it was almost like, you know. And then I thought, well, it's the kind of the after the new romantic stage, they call it the retro psychedelic stage or something. Post
Okay.
psychedelic, because I remember a review of this of us said it looks like Egypt and I were trying to be a new psychedelia and it doesn't work or something. But then the reviewer said she regretted it because we went
Yeah.
down well. That was supporting ours, but because I mean, I'd already discovered Bowie and punk and all that, but Mick and Yorkie got me into Arthur Lee in Love, um, Tom Waits,
Yeah.
stuff like that. The Doors, more into Talking Heads, although I was just getting into them. So with things like also the Electric Prunes and the Seeds, and
Yeah.
that means I can wear scarves and big bandanas and a million earrings, you know, and big baggy, um, you know, Afghan trousers. So that was probably the appeal as well,
Oh,
and more makeup as well. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Because you did the cover of Love song. She
we
comes
did.
in
We
color.
used to do She Comes in Colours. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that was.
We recorded it. Yeah, I've got a. You might have it. I'm sure.
Oh
Maybe
yeah,
you'll.
yeah.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
Yorkie released it as like the demo from
yeah, yeah,
1980.
yeah,
It's on CD, so yeah, I got a
yeah,
copy of it as well. So,
yeah.
what's it like working with Mika?
Mick,
Yeah,
is he listening? um, you know. Of course, when I worked with Mick, um, it was pre Shack, of course. So he was local independent. The memories of that time are just absolutely fabulous because there was Jock, the drummer,
yeah, yeah,
me, Ken, Yorkie, and Mick, and I have great memories of the gigs. But also, we used to rehearse in Yorkie's cellar, and those photos were taken by Les Patterson from the
from
Bunnymen.
Echo and the Bunnymen.
He
Yeah,
came, yeah,
yeah,
and the Bunnymen's first picture in the inner sleeve on the first album is down in Yorkie's cellar. We'd rehearse
yeah,
Sunday afternoon, and then I think we used to, I don't know how we could afford a cab. We'd go to Lark Lane, and sometimes we'd meet up with Les and other people who were on the scene, and we'd go to Keith's, and we'd have wine and food. And it was just one of those great times when you had less to worry about. You were more
yeah,
interested in the music. Uh, and the gigs were great. And then after that, I kept in touch with them over the years. You know, they'd be doing different projects and stuff. I think Yorkie came in and did used to do the community radio in Kensington because we grew up around there. He came in, and then over the years with Mick, and then my best pal, who was my he was like my big brother, who's passed away. He produced some Shack demos. So then another strand came about. You know, so I've, I've got great memories of Egypt for now. Then we all kind of went off and did different things. Yorkie did the balcony, Mick and John did the Paleys.
yeah,
But we would
yeah,
all kind of meet along the way. We were like Australian soap actors. You always met somewhere else along the way, you know. Um, and I mean, I haven't seen I haven't seen Jock for ages. But I don't remember any bad times, falling out, mad times. We supported somebody at Brady's on a New Year's Eve, and we were all going back to Yorkie's, and he
yeah,
bought a bottle of Southern Comfort over the bar, so he had to pay for a full bottle, but per shot. So would be about 1980, 79, and it cost him £13. And at the time, we were like, that is ridiculous. And we got outside, and because he was drunk, he dropped it and it smashed. And we all
no
were like,
way.
that's £13 worth of Southern Comfort. But you laugh about it. I have another great memory of Yorkie. I was working as like a window cleaner or something in the daytime, and I had my first flat on Edge Lane, and it was a Sunday night, and I had to get up for work the next day, and about 11:30 p.m. midnight, there was a little knock at the door, and I opened the door, and Yorkie was standing there with a cardboard box. And he said, can I come in? And I said, I'm at work tomorrow and it's like dead late. And he said, well, in this box, I've got a Chinese banquet takeaway for four, a bottle of Pernod, a bottle of lemonade, and two Perubu bootlegs. And I went, I think you better come in, yeah. They're the great memories as well as being on stage and the music, but it's those things you remember,
Yeah, yeah. Because I think Yorkie's house was the hangout
It
place
was
for
it was
everybody,
it
I
was the
guess.
it was the main hub. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
Teardrop used to rehearse there. Bunnymen definitely rehearsed there, and
yeah,
we did as well. And Yorkie's mum, Gladys, bless her, no longer with us. She had a rather cutting voice, and she just said, "David, David," and Jock was the only one who smoked, and because it was soundproof with cardboard, she'd be going, "David, is Jock smoking?" And Jock would go, "Oh, hey, Yorkie, there's only me. She hasn't go at. But these are, these are all great memories. There was never like any fallouts or, probably because we didn't, earn millions of pounds. That's when you start falling out, when you earn tons of money. But I just have great memories of the whole scene of, the punk band,
yeah, yeah,
Eric's, just happy days, and it's at a time when you're young, and these are the things I can look back on, and think,
yeah, yeah.
gosh, we were crazy.
Well, I'm actually looking forward to McHead's book, which is
Is he
hopefully
doing
will
a
be out next
wow?
year.
Oh, I do look forward to that as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, because
yeah,
especially
yeah,
after hearing him at the Paolo Hewitt
yeah.
talk last week, talking about why he joined the band. I'm not going to say anything now because I'll have to wait for the
Well,
fans need to sort of read it.
just to finish to come back to the question about Mick. When you say with him, I mean, I didn't realise at the time what a phenomenal talent he is, but that was because we were young and impressionable, and he hadn't really fully formed his voice and his style and stuff yet. He was always, for me, he was influenced by Arthur Love, and he did talk last week at Paolo's gig about how fantastic it was playing with Arthur, Simon and Garfunkel. You know what, all that 60s psychedelic and
Yeah,
folky stuff. But I do remember, and this is a good few years ago now, the NME did a double spread saying this guy is, I don't know if it said possibly or probably, our greatest
a great
songwriter.
songwriter. Yeah,
At the same time that The Guardian, and I can't remember if this was Fable or Water Pistol, but The Guardian at the same time just gave it 10 out of 10. And I remember reading it, and as well as being an old Kenny lad and, an ex, muso colleague, I was really touched the fact that, that recognition. And I thought, I've played with that guy. And okay, it's just Mick I would sit in the pub with, but for the Guardian to give it 10 out of 10, and it fully deserved 10 out of 10. It wasn't just a
yeah,
flash in the pan. And for the NME to say he is our greatest song, I thought, you forget when somebody's your mate. I've got a mate, a well-known actor, mate. He's on TV all the time. He's just my mate Rob in the pub. But when you're out having a drink, people go, "Oh, and that's really nice. Okay, they're your friends. You're not starstruck by them. But Mick is fully formed now, and he's in a really good place. His
yeah,
wife
yeah.
seems delightful. He's producing phenomenal music. Um,
Yes,
and
yes,
the other thing is, which he's had since he was a kid, is humility. He's never been flash or posy or starstruck, and maybe that's got a little bit against him and not becoming a superstar. But last week when he was asked about comparisons with Oasis, to me, he's not the sort of person who's ever wanted it. And if you strive for that and you don't get it, I think that's when you end up angry. And for me, he's a lovely bloke. He's a great songwriter. He produces great music, and his humility, and you'll know his friendliness.
yes, yeah,
It's
yeah,
just it's
yeah.
infectious, and it's phenomenal. Um,
Uh-huh.
and I think he's a great example of the terrors that the talent shows bring you, because all these talent shows now, and I'm not knocking them, but on talent shows, you've got people who are thrust into the public eye for a very, very
Mm,
short period. But it's all been done by the power of the media. And I wish people talk about after. I mean, this week is Liam Payne. We
yeah,
talk about
yeah,
aftercare of people who've been in. There should
yeah,
be a before as well. I wish people like Simon Cowell would say to, and they're not always kids, would say to them, right, if you win this talent competition, you're going to go through 10 weeks of this show. It's television. That's what we're interested in. When we get to the end of this series, If you win, you're going to have the #1 Christmas single. And then for 2 or 3 months after that, you'll be on Concord. You'll have all the champagne, stimulants, girls, lads, hotels, whatever you want. But after that, you're going to disappear because you have only been known for 10 minutes. You haven't toured for 6 years. You haven't released albums. You haven't set any roots into this business. You are a flash in the pan. When that finishes, I will have left you and moved on because I'm a very successful business person. I'm not really interested in your talent. I'm going to move on to next year's flavor of the month. If you can deal with that, then that's fine. And that should be told to them before they make it. There's no use, well, they're not. It's sad now when people are saying, oh, poor Liam Payne. And it is terrible. But, you know, when you've been #1 and you've had all the adulation and the money and the hotels, to suddenly have that taken away, that's when your paranoia starts kicking in. That's when you can't afford to do it. And it's such a shame because, you know, Liam Payne's the latest, you know, and he's not going to be the last. It will always go on like this, you know, and it's been going on, you know, the 27 Club, Hendrix, Morrison. You think, you know, even Elvis was older, but Elvis, he was such a handsome bloke. He had a phenomenal voice. What happened? Why? We don't know because, you know, but, and, you know, and I think for somebody like Mick, who's in a really healthy place, is producing great music, comes down to the fact that he's an artist. He's not interested in stardom. You know, we all have to make money to pay our bills, but he's interested in being a creator, an artist. And I think if you've got that and you've got your love and your family around you, that is when you can be healthy and succeed and still do your job.
Yeah, that is
gosh, that was a lesson and a half.
That is very, that is very, very, and that's why we love Mick Head. Yeah. But so after Egypt for now, yeah, that's really good, and I just love all these stories about Mick Head. Anyways, but yeah, after Egypt for now, did you join any other band after that, or did you just concentrate on your?
Oh gosh, after Egypt for now, no, I didn't. I got into college, did college for a couple of years, and as I say, I thought once I really got bitten by the acting bug, I really thought, and I thought it was Goodbye Rock and Roll, hello Chekhov. Once I left college and got an agent, oh, you play drums as well, right? So I did do a couple of screen jobs and a few stage plays as an actor and a drummer, because in the early 80s, producers started to discover that if you've got a cast on stage and a pit band, you're paying all the musicians union, and then you're paying all the actors equity rates on stage. Hang on, if we get the actors to play the music as well, we're only paying them one wage. But in saying that, those shows are great fun. And then 84, I happened to get in a great show at the Playhouse, and I worked with a cracking bunch of guys, and they're still my best friends to this day. And then we did a couple of other shows after that. And then kind of in between that, I played with a couple of bands. But to this day, I still do a little one-off thing for charity with some of the lads from the Playhouse. And in 2 or 3 weeks, we do it at the Cavern. We do it for a cancer charity event. Yeah. And that is all stuff from the show, rock and roll, Gene Vincent, Eddie Cochran. Yeah,
is that the one that's called Bebop Band?
We call it the Bebop Band because the show was called Bebop Alula. Tony O'Keefe from the Shakers, him and his lady Julie, they put it together. So they'll be playing. We have about 6 bands on. We only charge a £5. Nobody takes a penny. Every single penny made goes to the charity. We always choose a cancer charity, and this year it's Myeloma UK.
Is it pay on the door? Because I can't find the ticket.
No, you just pay on the door. We have a raffle, and a lovely artist from Sheffield, Peter Diori, he makes us a one-off canvas which we auction. And this year, because Myeloma's headquarters is in Edinburgh, I've suggested he does Stu Sutcliffe for us, because Stu was born in Edinburgh, and he'll bring it with him. He doesn't take any money for his work and labour. All the bands come from Yorkshire, some come from Wales, Lincoln, Suffolk, and nobody takes a bean. Fill the fridge full of beer. We play loads of music. We have a laugh. You meet new friends, and you might win a raffle prize. But that gives us the kick up the bum for us to get together. Because if we didn't have a goal to work to, we go, "I'll see you next year. I'll see you." Before you know it, you say, Oh, such a body's
It's
clock.
already so many years. Yeah, yeah. Well, I have to say hello to Tony O'Keefe because he's the one who told me about this gig, and I'm definitely going to be there on the 10th of November, and that's a Sunday. Tony, I think, is playing now
Tony
at
will,
the
Tony will be
Shakers.
on
He'll be in the
stage.
cavern at the
He'll be on
moment, so
stage in the cavern in an
in
hour.
the cavern. So yeah, hopefully he'll see this later on. But we want to talk about your acting career
Okay.
because
Mhm.
this is actually amazing. I mean, I had a look on IMDb for
Did you
all
know? Oh, you're like the tax man, are you really?
you've been in so many films and TV shows,
Really?
and
Wow.
I've just realized you've been on every soap opera like Brookside, Emmerdale, EastEnders, The Bill.
Never Corrie.
Never.
Corrie always
Yeah, that's the
eluded,
one
never
thing I was
Corrie.
gonna say.
Corrie always
How
eluded
come you're
me.
not in is it Coronation Street?
Coronation Street, yeah.
So
That's
was
the
there
one.
not a
Corrie's
what?
the one. I had a few auditions. It just never happened. It just never happened. It's, I mean, it's a very, like the music, acting is a very fickle business. I've been for a job where the agent said, "You are bang on for this. This is yours. It's in the bag," and you don't get it. I've been for a job where she's just said, "Oh, you're just making up the numbers," and then 2 days later she rings and says, "I don't know what you did in that audition, but you got the job." So
All right.
it's mad. It's absolutely mad. You know,
Yeah. Well, what's your most favorite characters in all this?
both favorite
I actually
characters.
tried to look it up on YouTube because I know that Brookside is in Liverpool.
I
It's a
was
Liverpool based.
I know I got a bit of do you know what, I only did one episode of Brookside and I got a bit of flack because I was managing a pizza parlor and I gave Jimmy Corkill a job and then I found out that he had mental health and this wouldn't be me in real life and then I decided that I didn't want him to work for us anymore, so I sacked him. And people were saying, "You sacked poor Jimmy, he's got mental health." And I'm like, it's a flipping soap opera. It doesn't really exist. It's fiction. It's fiction. Um, Soaps are great because you can go on tour for 10 million years and thinking I'm giving my all on stage and
Yeah.
nobody bats an eyelid. And then somebody says, "Oh, saw you in Emmerdale last week." That's the power of TV and that's the power of soaps. I went through a phase of doing some quite dark characters, and I used to really enjoy doing that. When I was at college, I don't know why I was always a fan of people like John Merrick. I suppose that was being a fan of John Hurt and Bowie, both playing the Elephant Man. I got
Yeah.
really caught up with, I suppose, loners. And then a few years ago, I did two good jobs I really enjoyed. I played an ex-army veteran who ended up on the streets and very mentally damaged. And then a couple of years later, I played a heroin addict. And originally, he was a footballer, but the company they wanted me to play football on stage, and I said,
Yeah.
ran things on stage, bounce into the audience, and they said, "Well, you don't have to be a footballer." And they said, "Is there anything else?" And I said, "I could be a drummer. I can bring a lot of authenticity to." And there was a heartbreaking scene in it where he talked
Mm.
about how he sold his drums to buy, drugs. And I don't know if enjoy is the right word, but I really relish getting into stuff like that. But there was a time with my ex partner, and she said, "I think you do get too involved in things like that." I didn't realize at the time, but obviously I did. But
Yeah.
now, the thing I've been doing the last couple of years on and off is with Tony, and it's the complete opposite because we do a rock and roll show, and I play the cheesy compere, and it's so much fun. It's like being in a very serious pantomime, and I'm not, you know. We have some guest artists, guest singers. We have the band, which is the Shakers, and they play all the music. And if you've ever seen the Shakers or you see them on the tent, they're phenomenal. Their
Yeah.
Merseybeat sound is
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
authentic. And in
Yeah.
between that, I come on in my cheesy suit and hey, so pop pickers, hey, 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 and that's how Tony wanted it. And I said, like this, and he said, that's exactly what I want. But although it's kind of fun and a bit cheesy and a bit, I suppose, tongue in cheek, what I'm
Yeah.
actually doing is I'm historically linking. So 1962, we're down in the backstreet beach cellar, blah 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 blah, and I go,
Oh,
now it's 1960. So I'm actually, if you listen, I'm giving the journey of Merseybeat from 1962 to 1964. The band and the singers do it phenomenally with the music, but I just do it a bit, and it's like this is great fun doing this. This is like being an actor, but actually smiling about it as well, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, this
That one is This Is Mercy Beat,
this
right?
is
Isn't
meant to
it?
be, yeah.
Yeah,
This is
yeah,
meant to be, yeah. But
yeah,
I suppose if I had to choose something in a nutshell where you're having a great time and you're on the road and you do, it's got to be with the bebop lads. They are. I don't know what it is. You work with certain people and sometimes you stay in touch. Sometimes you fall out. Sometimes they're not your type of person. You might be on a totally different social or political plane.
mm, yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but Robbie, Drew, Mickey, and Edgy, and Martin Glinmoney from the Bebop Band have been like brothers, and this is probably about the 8th year we're going to be involved in um,
yeah,
the Cavern Show, and that's just because we're Liverpool lads. We all love music, performers. We understand each other. We know each other's families, and we get on well. So, in a nutshell, all of it is that. But then you've got to think, well, that was a great part to play. That earned me the most money.
yeah, yeah,
That got me to a fantastic, in the Alps, 2 days, and
yeah,
ridiculous amount of money. But to get taken in a helicopter in the Alps, I thought, gosh, if I was doing this every day, would I get bored? It was like being a kid on Christmas Day and getting the bestest present you could ever think of.
yeah,
So all jobs have a different attraction, and sometimes it's the money. But in a nutshell, I would say the bebop lads. The nearest thing to that is probably with the Shakers, because all the people involved in This Is Merseybeat are all great. We all get on great, and we
yeah.
get to do some lovely theatre. Last time we were up in the northeast, and we were
Hello.
down south in
Yeah,
Dover on the Whittle. So the
yeah.
locations, being with nice people, music as well. Music is a great glue. As music brings so many people together.
That's true.
You could meet
Yeah,
somebody who doesn't speak a word of your language, and you hear a song,
yeah, yeah,
and it can be, I don't care if it's Taylor Swift ever. If somebody smiles, you go, that all of a sudden, I know
right.
this, I like this, and you do as well. You know.
Yeah, yeah. So there's also those are the TV shows. I've seen film trailer for another film that you did. It's a Spanish one as well.
Oh
It's
my gosh, you've been doing your homework.
it's La Vuelta del Coyote.
La Vuelta del Coyote.
And you
Yeah.
got shot. You got shot in that film.
I got.
Well,
Sorry,
yeah.
you froze then, and I lost you. What was the last
Oh,
question?
sorry, you got shot in that film
I
because
did. I
you.
got shot. I got shot. Actually, got shot right in the
Oh,
head in a Wild West bar, and I fell down completely. I went in one take, and when I stood up, the crew clapped, and I said, "That's the only take you get." And I said, "I ain't doing that again." I nearly killed myself. That was no, actually, that was mad because I was very poor at the time. I went to Edinburgh to do a play for nothing, and I'd been working on a stall on the Beatles convention on the weekend. We didn't have
yeah,
mobiles in these days. And I got back to my flat and my sister rang and she said, "Where the flipping heck have you been?" And I said, "I've been doing a Beatles stall at the Adelphi for some extra money. Your agent's been trying to get you. She's been on to me. She's been on to our mum. She's a black." I don't know. Anyway, rang the agent in the morning, Monday morning. The van's waiting to go to Edinburgh. You got to get a video showcase to Spain. Well, so it sends a video off. That's on the Monday. On the Wednesday, the agent
yeah,
rang. "Is your passport okay?" "Yeah." "You're going to Spain?" I said, "What?" I said, "That video hasn't arrived yet." She said, "It's okay. There's some top UK actors in it. It's kosher. You'll be okay." Money was great. She got the money even bettered again. Script arrived in complete Spanish. And I said, "They do know I don't speak Spanish." And she said, "It's
yeah,
okay. Don't worry about it." They sent me an English version. And I looked and I read it. And it said, "Captain Potts of the American Army." So, I
I'm
recognized.
gonna get.
Did they want an English accent or do they want an American? Because sometimes even a man, they just say, and she said to me, "Does it matter, darling? You're going to be dubbed in." And I said, "Well, why the flipping heck do they want a UK accent?" Anyway, you don't want to bite the hand that feeds you. So I went
Yeah,
to Spain. We signed all the contracts. The director, who's a very famous Spanish director, Mario Camus, he didn't speak English, but the assistant director did, Guillermo. And I said to him, "Look," I said, "I do appreciate the job, but why have you chosen an English actor? I'm going to speak English. You're going to overdub me. They're going to speak Spanish back to me. And he just said, we liked your eyes. He said, we like your eyes. So I got this job because of the eyes. So all as I'm doing is learning the last two words in Spanish of the cue. They're going, and I have to go, right, bosh. Now it's my line. I'm in a frock coat, bayonet, blunderbuss, getting out of. And then we do about 4 takes, and the assistant comes over and he says, Mario, he liked what you do, but he wanted to be, and I'm a bigger. So I'm being all moody like Brando, being all
Yeah,
serious.
yeah,
6 takes later, I'm like the panto villain going, ha 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 ha, kiddies. Oh. So I've gone from being all small and filmic to like being a panto villain. But that's what they wanted, so it was great. And the guy who used to drive me to the location, the old Wild West time where they filmed the spaghetti westerns, he inherited the transport company from his dad, who used to drive Lee Van Cleef, Clint Eastwood, all the big American spaghetti western. And I'm like, wow, this is. But I've never seen that movie full, but I've seen the trailer where I get shot.
yeah. That's what I've seen.
They had like a laser beam, and they said when the red dot hits your head, that's it. And I just that's in one take. And
So did you enjoy it then? You enjoyed doing that?
There was a big Spanish actor called Take It to My Bar. It was great. Yeah, he does all the voiceovers when they have the Hollywood movies over there. He overdubs for Bruce and Arnie and De Niro and all them. So he was
Yeah.
And Spain was family. Yeah, to get paid was La Vuelta del Coyote. Yeah.
Oh, that's brilliant. Well, another thing that you do, I mean, the reason why we started at 4 o'clock is because every Sunday you do this, you're a tour guide.
Every Sunday I go to church. No, it's just random. It's random days, self-employed. It's just, and I happen to be doing it today, yeah.
Oh, so it's not like
it's a different day.
How do they contact you if they want to go on
what
your?
You do is you give your it's the same as any job. You give your availability to the company, and then they they say, oh, we'll put you in on these days. We'll put you in on these days. Yeah. So same as the BME.
Yeah.
It's just I suppose in an ideal world, I'd touring the world with a band or touring in a stage play week in week out is ideal, but as I said before, the self-employed arts is such a fickle industry, but you're still getting paid to do something that you can use your tools. I've never done anything that has nothing to do with music and script. There's nothing else. I remember being about 13 or 14 in the old type grammar school, Pete Best's grammar school, and a school report. Every subject was like X, X, X. English was A plus 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 plus. And my mum saying, "How can you be so brilliant in English and not everything?" And it was the only, I said, it's the only thing I like. The only thing I really, really. A teacher, I remember first English class, and the teacher had a book by H.G. Wells, The History of Mr. Polly, and the opening line is, "Oh, beastly hole." He falls down a hole, and he went, "Oh, beastly owl," and he just did the voice, and I just went, that's what I want. Characters and stories, whether they're in songs or in movies or plays. Well, I love characters, stories, putting life into that. And school and education is much better now, because when I was a kid, a lot of it was blah, 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 blah. But now interactive museums get the kids to dress up, Terry Deary, who created the Horrible Histories, we did one of his shows, and he said, I was a teacher and an actor, and he said, and I suddenly realized that these characters are amazing characters, but if you just regurgitate it out of a textbook, kids turn off. Same with Shakespeare. Get them involved. You're now Hamlet. You're now Laertes. Get costumes on. Let's, and then it's fun.
That is true. Yeah,
and that's and it's still to this day. And I think, so privileged to do something. And in every walk of life, you need communication skills. And then the bottom line of that is we want to be nice to each other. What's going on? All the rubbish going on in the world today. Much nicer to be nice than horrible, isn't it? But that's basically stories and music and Yeah.
What do you get recognized when you do these tours? When you do the guide tours?
No, 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 not so much. And once, twice I've been out after work, and somebody, they'll say, "Oh, we were on your bus today. Can we buy you a beer?" You know, um, Sometimes it could lead to. I mean, I had a job in Germany in December because
Yeah,
two guys came in the BME, and I've worked in Germany, well, now four, but up to that it was three times. And these two guys came in, I'm a bit, and you've been in the BME. Hello, guys, I'm going to show you this is how the space works. If you want to start here and bottom at the end, you can play Gibsons and blah blah, and the big screen and the videos. And then I said, "Where are you from?" And I said, "Germany." And I said, "Oh, I love Germany. You know it?" I said, "I've worked there." Blah blah blah. Big Beatles fans. I said, "Oh, actually, I do a Beatles tour, and I'm doing it tomorrow. Would you like to come on as my guests?" And they said, "Yeah." Took them on the bus. They did the Beatles tour. When we finished, they said, "Would you like to come to Lüneburg later in the year and talk about music?" And they were doing. They had an art show downstairs, and upstairs they had a music exhibition, and there was some
Oh,
great early pictures of the Paleys. Yeah,
really?
yeah, yeah. They
Oh,
did the whole, not just the Beatles. It was every Liverpool artist.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then I did a talk, and since then they've been back over, and now they're friends. And that came from just being open and friendly and talking about
That's
things that we love
fantastic.
as a music. It could have just been, "Oh yeah, there's the door. That's where you go in." But I think only do something if you're interested in it. If you've got um, an interest and a passion, and you have a great passion for music, and it's infectious. It's I
Yeah,
feel
yeah,
lucky and
yeah.
privileged, to want to get up and go to work and think whatever I'm doing today, it's going to involve performance or music and meeting nice people.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Oh, that's good. Well, I know it's it's over an hour now, so I've got to
is
ask
it?
you this.
Have you been on for over a minute? Oh my god!
I've got to ask you this regular questions that I always ask.
Who's my
The
favourite drummer?
guests. No,
Is it?
well, no. The first one I wanted to ask you: Do you do you twirl when you play the drums? Do
Do I
you do the
twirl?
twirl?
I
Yeah,
can't, I
do
can't
this
do that twirl.
twirling.
I've tried to do that twirl. I can't for the
Or
life.
do you do the point? Because Tony O'Keefe,
Oh
he does
no! Oh no! Nobody should do the point apart from Tony O'Keefe. That's yeah, yeah. And I don't know whether it was. You'd have to correct me with Tony. I don't know if it was the big three or the Searchers drummer used to do it. It's when they do "What Did I Say." When they get later on in one, he goes, "Hey," and then he goes, and when he goes, "Oh," and he points with the sticks, and he goes, they go, and he gets, it's the refrain from the audio. "Oh, hey, oh." Yeah, no, I wouldn't even attempt that because Tony has that to perfection. But the twirl is beyond me. Yeah, the
you
twirl
know.
is beyond me. Yeah. I never even wore gloves and put rings on and all that like Ringo. No. Mm. I just want to play the songs and
Well, talking of Ringo, because I've also read in this article that what you do is like an interpretation of Ringo's
yeah.
white
Oh,
noise.
yeah. Yeah. Well, I,
What does that mean?
I, I, I always thought Ringo played right-handed, but the way I play is I play a right-handed kit, left-handed, which basically means that whereas most people will play the hi-hat and the bass drum with the same, so normally if you're left-handed, you'll play the bass drum with your left foot. So I know you can't. I'm trying to get me near, but you'll. So it's like left hand on the hi hat and left leg. Or most drummers, it will be the right hand and the right foot. So the hi hats they'll be playing across and the snare here. I don't know what it is. I'm bonkers. I play it open. So I play the snare drum with the right hand and I play the bass drum with the right and I play the hi hat with the left. So I play open. That's just the way it is naturally for me. But it also means I'm not restricted for giving the snare a good hit. So I
Yeah,
play open. That to me just came naturally because I've never been taught. And when we did the first show at the Playhouse 84, I was in the Casa, the old Casa downstairs, and a guy who became a friend and an actor friend came up to me and he said, "Excuse me," he said, "Are you in that Playhouse show?" And I said, yeah, I am. And he said, can I just ask you about your style of drumming? And I said, oh, yeah. I said, well, it is, I'm left-handed, but I play a right-handed kit. And he said, oh, no, what I was going to say was that's how Johnny Hutcher, the big three, used to play. Because we used to do What Did I Say in the show. He said, I thought, blooming heck, he's done his homework. So after that, when people used to ask me, I said, yeah, you see, I'm a big fan of Johnny Hutcher and the big three. But that's it. That's basically it, yeah. But some people, I've seen Ringo play another way as well. But when he's on the ride, he has a great ride action, Ringo. But I'm not sure. I've studied Ringo, and I don't know if he does play the same way as I play. But I don't think he's a far better drummer anyway. But that's it. Basically, I play a right-handed kit, but I play it. I'm trying to show you left-handed.
So you're left-handed, and you're playing a right-handed kit.
Yeah.
But Ringo is also left-handed, isn't he?
Yeah, but when Ringo plays the hi-hat, he looks as if he's playing across, and then he plays the ride with that hand. Whereas I'm riding, I will ride across. When I'm riding, that's as if I'm playing the hi-hat. Yeah, my hi-hat is here. Yeah, it's crazy, I know, but yeah. So don't give my secrets away.
So like
Johnny Hutch from the Big Three. That's how Hutchie played.
Is this how? Okay, all right. Yeah. Well. I always, when because I'm not a drummer, but I always think that drummers they do like this.
Yeah,
they always.
I can switch over and play and put. What you do is if you put the hi-hat on the other side, then I can play it that way.
Yeah,
I'm restricted because the snare arm is the hi-hat arm is getting in the way of your snare. But if you're playing that way, the snare you can really good.
Yeah.
But
so your best arm should be able to do the snare.
See, I'm naturally left-sided. I write with the left hand, but the right hand is my power hand. For the kit.
All right. Yeah. Oh,
probably seems completely back to front, but that's the way I am.
That's interesting. Well, next question. You mentioned already like John Bonham, because I think he's like the drummer's drummer, isn't he? So
he was just such a phenomenal hitter, and his rock style. I listen to Zeppelin patterns and I think I don't know where that's coming from. But I'm not as I say, I'm not a technical drummer. And also really to me it's the song. So I mean. Obviously, Hendrix was a fabulous guitarist, but one of my favorite solos is the song by the Vibrators, "Baby Baby," and the solo is just such a simple 3-chord thing. It's what gets you there, What gets you there, And I think at my age, I would rather watch 4 young lads making mistakes and being fresh and energetic than watching a band of middle-aged men recreate Led Zeppelin. And I'm not having a go at that because there's a pub around the corner from me and I'll go and watch old rock bands. But if you said to me, right, do you want to come and see this young punk band or do you want to come and see a Zeppelin cover? I'd say, let's go see the kids. And Ian Proust does his his open mic night at the Cabin.
Oh, yeah. Every Monday, yeah.
On a Monday. And it's free to and when people are here, visitors, I always say, look, a great music night. It's not backing tracks, it's not karaoke, this is a proper music night. And I was in there one night, there was a Welsh guy doing some folk, there was the guys who do the comedy song about the sausage, there was an indie kid, there was some folky stuff, and these 4 lads got up and they looked to me, they looked about 15, but they looked like One Direction, had little funky haircuts, but they got on stage and I think they were from Widnes, I think they said, and they got on stage and they went, one of them just went, hello, we're from Widnes and we're called the Rackets. And then they kicked off, and they were like the Clash in the early days. And I just went, wow. And then that was the only time I saw them. And then they seemed to do some good supports in Liverpool.
Yeah.
Maybe this was at the beginning of their early days. But these 4 kids just came up, and it was almost like hello, we're here. Would you mind if we played while we're here?
Yeah, I think
and then they just went, boosh, and I just went, my God, they were, and that's because. you know, it's got to be young blood and kids, you know. But
Yeah, yeah.
I'll go with it, you know.
I think I have seen the Rackets before. So I think they. I don't know if they've supported Ian Prowse, but I remember I have seen them. I have heard of that
That's
name
the only
before.
time I've seen them, and they were great. But in saying that, you know, a Zeppelin tribute as well. I don't mind, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
But yeah, getting back to, but yeah, Bonham is. I think Bonham is the overall archetypal rock
yeah.
rock
Well,
drummer.
have you seen Michael Head in the Red Elastic Band?
No, I
Uh,
haven't seen Mick play live.
haven't seen
Oh,
it.
you would. I saw one of your things on Facebook about the lad who plays
Phil
drums.
Murphy.
Yeah,
Phil Murphy, I think is absolutely amazing, and I
yeah,
think is really one of the best young drummers out there at the
yeah.
moment. So
Well, speaking of Mick stuff, and talking about drummers who service the song and who really sit on the beat. One of my favourite drummers was Tempo, and he's gone now,
oh yeah,
sadly.
yeah,
But the way Tempo just sat on that beat, he didn't do too much. He didn't, you know, it was exactly right. You know, that lineup of Shaq with John and Mick and
yeah,
Tempo and Ren was just,
yeah.
you know, it was, you know, Tempo just, that's the only way I could describe. In fact, it wasn't my team, it was my mate Andy, who's gone now, when he was producing them. Um, I said, I love it. And he said, Coddy, he just sits on the beat. He sits right on top of the beat. He's just, you know, and that's,
Mm.
you know, because, you know, it's just, it's doing your job, isn't it? Bless you, Ian.
Yeah,
So, you know, no longer with us. Yeah.
yeah, I know. That's really sad when I found
I
out
do
that
love
was
Charlie Chuck, though. You know, Uncle Charlie. You
Uncle
remember the
Charlie.
comic? Charlie Chuck. Donkey, donkey. He's just a crazy drummer. He used to be on Vic Reeves and Bob Mortimer.
Oh,
I'm hoping some of the listeners will know. If you don't know who Charlie Chuck is, check him out. Yeah,
oh, okay, I will do.
it's not serious though. It's not serious.
It's just for the show, the TV show.
He attacks his hi hats and all sorts. Yeah, Charlie
Okay.
Chuck. Yeah.
Next question is: have you ever had any accidents when you're playing drums, or maybe even when you're acting? You know,
Oh
when you're
gosh, oh
acting.
yeah, go on, none off, yeah, yeah. Because when you throw your all into it, and the one that springs to mind of, well, I suppose a mixture of acting and drumming. Drumming. We used to do a song in the first show. It was Cavern of Dreams. I can't remember what the song was, but I used to shuffle, and when I was shuffling, back shuffling, I went through a phase of always catching that knuckle on the rim,
Okay, yeah,
and it was
yeah.
a metal, and I ended up with just a flap. It was just always coming off. And one of Drew Schofield, he mentioned this stuff, and he said if you put this stuff over it, it will harden it, and it'll just make it like rock, like stone to get rid of it. That was the first drumming, I suppose, accident I remember. Although we did do a film, and he punched me in the face, but that's because it was in the script.
Oh,
Um,
so that wasn't an accident. That was actually
no, that was
part of
part
the
of the
script.
script. I did. I sprained my ankle when I was doing a stage job in Germany because I mistimed the step, and the under my foot hit the step, and I just heard it stretch. That wasn't nice. And another time I was doing the show at the Unity, and it was about bondage, and there was a very heavy scene where, without going into detail, I would end up being with all sorts of straps and
Bondage.
chains and whips, and being handcuffed around an office chair, and then getting. At the end of the scene was she was going to pour boiling water over my head as the
Oh God.
lights went down. And what used to happen is the lights would go down, and the key for the handcuffs was preset under the chair. But because of the way we did it, I used to start to slide down in this chair, but the timing was that the actress could always undo the handcuffs and I'd get out. One day she couldn't find the key, and I ended up almost off the chair and my hands locked around the back,
No way.
feeling the handcuffs, and I was in agony. And I was just going, get me out, get me out. And we were in black, and the audience thought something was going on. Get me out. And then two stage hands came on, and they tried to lift me out the chair. I just went, ah! And in the end, the stage manager had to come on and she said to the audience, "Could we please vacate the audience? We've got a serious problem."
Oh
And they
my
took all
God.
the audience out. They brought the lights up. They found the key and they took it out. And I had these big wheels on my arm. And the actress was absolutely mortified and so upset. And I said, "It's not your fault. It's just an accident. It's not your fault. It was an accident." Yeah. I've had a
Where was
trapped nerve in Germany in the back, but these things happen. It's like
yeah,
any job, builders get injured, window cleaners, people in offices fall downstairs. It's just, what job doesn't have any risk,
yeah. So, but where was the key then? Was it just
Where was
there?
the key? She just lost. He got lost in the dark. Yeah. Yeah, and they didn't want to bring the lights up on the audience, because people were going, "Oh, look, there's a Ponzi actor pretending he's hurt," But I was in agony. So the stage manager came on at the front. She said, "Could we please clear the auditorium?" It was a
And did
studio.
you do it again?
So it
Did
was
you do
very,
it again the next
yeah,
night?
yeah. I had to do it the next night. Yeah, of course. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
God, so I had to make
Worse than the accident was having to wear a pair of leopard skin knickers and having a big load of bondage chains on.
Right. Okay. Last question is, what would be your advice to aspiring drummers or musicians or even
Oh,
actors?
I shouldn't give advice to drummers. No, okay. I would say service the song, feel the beat and service the song. Don't think you're the most
Yeah.
important person on the planet, but I think that for anybody. Actors, the best bit of advice that was given to me by my most favourite drama teacher who's no longer with us, he said to me at one point, "Why do you want to do this, Paul?" And I said, "It's the only thing I want to do." And he said, "Good, that's the only reason you should do it." And that's what I think of anything, yeah, whether you're a drummer or an actor. Why do you want to do it? If it's the only thing you want to do, because if there's anything else you can do and make a living out of it, do that, because you're much more likely to make a living out of it than doing some, because, art, music, performance, it's so oversubscribed because, especially when you're young and you're impressionable, it has such an attraction for people. Oh, I want to do that, I want to do that, and some people go on to do it, but that for me ties back into the whole horror show for me about talent shows. Okay, some people do get discovered from it and have longevity. One Direction, more so Harry Styles now. So Will Young, people make a career. Sometimes they're not always number one. They go into West End musicals and stuff.
Yeah.
But if there's anything else you can do, why not? Why not do it?
Why not? Yeah.
Because I've met people I've taught along the way, and I've seen them working in bars. I've seen them working on back home from working on oil rigs, and they almost look embarrassed and say, oh, and I said, "What's your problem? You don't look like you want to talk to me. You're running down the other end. Well, I didn't do it." And I say, "You didn't do what?" "I didn't become a dancer." And I say, "Yeah, have you got a nice life?" "Yeah." "What's your life?" "I'm married. I've got a child." "Does your husband work?" "Yeah." "Are you happy?" "Yeah." That's the best thing you can ask for, happiness.
Yeah.
Don't struggle to be a poet or an artist all your life and put yourself through purgatory when you could maybe do something else. So I see it. If it's what you want to do it and pursue it. Give up, yeah. And don't let anybody knock you. Don't let anybody say, "Oh, that business is full of this and it's full of that." Just do it. If that's your goal, do it. And you will find like-minded people who will help you and will support you. But do it because you want to do it.
Yeah. Oh, that's
yes. That's it.
Well, that's very good. Yeah. Well, do you want to invite everyone again? I mean, all those watching to the Cavern Mecca.
Oh yeah. The Cavern on Sunday, November the 10th. It's called Cavern Mecca. This will be I think it will be our 12th year. We used to do it on a Friday night. Billy Heckle from the Cavern very kindly gives us the venue free, and they fill the fridge full of beer, and he gives us some little goodies towards the raffle. Because of COVID, the backlog of, because it's in the live lounge at the back where they have the tribute artists and the Cavern people at the weekends in the live lounge. Because of the backlog of paid gigs, he said it's much easier to offer you a Sunday now. So that's been a kind of a blessing in disguise. Because we do it earlier, it means families can come.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
instead of doing like 6 till midnight, we do 3 till 11.
yeah,
So any children can come in until 8 p.m. We
yeah,
have usually have 6 bands on. Just a little break in between. All the music is live. There's no backing tracks. It's all proper
yeah,
full on music. We have a raffle. People very kindly donate raffle prizes. Things like tickets for the Royal Court because Drew's in the panto. Tickets for the tour bus. We've got a pass for the BME. Little things like that. And Peter makes this canvas. The last 2 years, the same lady has bought the 2 canvases. I think she's trying to fill her office with pictures of Beatles-related people. And other than that, people have a dance, they have a beer. And
yeah,
it's just a nice thing to do to celebrate great music. I meet
yeah.
up with the lads, and that is Sunday, November the 10th. You can
And
just
it's
pay on the door.
pay on the
It's,
door. Yeah,
it's only £5. You can pay on the
yeah.
door, and you can stay from 3 till 11.
And
And
what time are you
we'll get your
gonna?
little pants off, eh?
Yeah. Oh, what time are you gonna be on? What time bebop
Oh,
band?
I haven't seen Tony's running order.
Oh,
Bebop's
okay.
usually on about 7 to 8, but
Oh, it's
I'm
brilliant.
not
Yeah,
really sure
yeah.
yet. Yeah,
Because
yeah. I
yeah, I'm
felt
definitely gonna be there, but I'm gonna do an episode of Ask the Drummer first, and then I'll go straight away and go and see you. So I hope that I'm not gonna miss Bebop Band. And the
okay.
Shakers, I think, is gonna be the
This,
last.
the Shakers usually do an earlier slot because they're next door from 6:15 till 9. They have to go
Oh,
next door and do their slot. And
oh,
also, you
cool.
pay your fiver for our event. You're also in the arch part, so you can watch all the stuff going on in the main part of the cavern as well.
Yeah, yeah,
It's a double winner, really. But if people are on the tour bus, and they say we're going to Cavern, I say, will you please say that you're going to the charity event, because then they'll let you in through the. Normally you pay at the top of the stairs, but you come to the charity event, they let you in, and basically it means that we get the fiver for the charity as opposed to it going into the cavern.
yeah, yeah. That's right.
And as
Yeah.
I say, this year it's myeloma. Uh, UK, and that came about. There's a delightful lady who's 92 who lives near Paul McCartney's house, and her son is 69 and he has cancer of the spine. And I got chatting
Oh,
to her, and I said, "It's my turn to choose the charity." So
yeah,
that's how it
yeah.
came about. Yeah, yeah. I know
Well,
all these little mad links because of music.
yeah, I
Great,
know.
isn't it?
So, like, yeah, it's because of music. That's why I got to meet
What?
you as
Yeah,
well.
of
Because
course.
you're
Yeah,
both.
yeah.
You're a big head connection.
The two-tone night was great. I mentioned the two-tone
Oh
night.
yeah, yeah, the
Yeah,
BME. The BME
I
was
got to meet Dennis Bovell and he signed a book for me. Dennis was in Matumbi and they supported
oh
Bob Marley. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Part of the
yeah.
Black History Month for writing on the wall.
Well,
But they're
I need
great.
to. Yeah, I need to check out the all the events at the BME because you always have good stuff in there.
The,
I
qui-
think
the,
the
the
yeah
quiz is next Wednesday. I'll be doing the quiz on.
is that the one with Nasha? Is it the Christmas?
Nasher does the
Christmas?
Christmas one.
Okay.
Yeah, he was in Germany with us in December. Nash will do the. I'll be doing the October and the November. Then I'll be helping Nasher do the December. Next Wednesday is the general quiz in the bar.
Right.
Nash is in the main space. Thursday we've got Callum Gilligan. He's a folkie. That's on the Thursday.
Yeah.
On it's later on in November, we're getting one of Ian Curtis's guitars in, so we're going to have the movie Control on the 28th
Oh wow.
in the evening. Yeah, and the
Brilliant.
lad who plays Ian Curtis, that's a great film, and the lad who plays Ian Curtis is.
Gonna be there. So.
Oh, I don't know. He's not going to be, but I'm saying he gives a great performance.
Oh right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
on the November the 28th.
Okay. Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, and it's all available. Well, you can all find the information from
The
the
website is the best
BME
place.
website.
The
And,
website
yeah.
is the
Or
best.
the
Yeah,
Facebook page as well, because they do
yeah, they
post
do have a
about
Facebook
it.
page as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Paul. I really
We do.
enjoyed chatting
We
to
do.
you. Because every
Gosh,
time I go
you
to
know,
the
for
BME,
nearly 2 hours.
I know, well, every time I go to the BME, I don't really get a chance to
I
sort of
know
like
because
talk. It's
I'm
always
working.
busy. I'm working,
You
yes.
see, people come in. People come in because they're doing a social occasion, but they forget you're working. Chris Bernardi, the director of Letter to Brezhnev, he comes into events. We had him. We had a screening of Brezhnev. He came into a Q&A. But he comes to other events. He goes, Coddy, have a bevy. And I go, I'm working. He goes, yeah, I'll put it under the counter. And I'm going, the boss is there. No, I'll have one later. But it's
That's good.
I don't knock it. It's still good fun. It's still good fun.
Yeah.
But you're enjoying yourself and I'm working, but I'm getting paid. So
Yeah, that's well, we're enjoying anyway. So even though we're
yeah,
not going, Well, thank you so much, Paul, and
My
hope to see
absolute
you again
pleasure.
soon. And
This
hope to
brought
see
back.
you at the Mickhead gig at
When's
the Liverpool.
when
There's
is
a
it?
Liverpool the Philharmonic on the 13th, I think, of
Of
December.
November? Is it sold out?
December is the yeah,
Is
yeah.
it
It's a
sold
sold
out?
out.
Oh, when
Yeah.
you speak to Mick, tell him I want a ticket.
Okay.
Yeah. No, yeah, if I don't see you, I'll see you in the BME. I'll
Yeah.
order the cavern. Yeah,
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Of course, I'll see you next month. That's
yeah.
that's.
This has made me feel very old. No, it hasn't. Hasn't.
Oh, thank you so much, and
My
good
absolute
luck.
pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank
See
you.
you again
Thank
soon.
you.
Bye. Enjoy the rest of the weekend.
Jazz hands. Jazz
That's
hands.
yeah. See ya.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Take care.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Oh, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us live. It was so nice of Paul Codman to say yes to us, the drummer. And yeah, Aiden said fantastic conversation, and yeah, he really enjoyed it as well, and I did. I really enjoyed talking to Paul because I see him at the BME in Liverpool whenever I go there, but you don't really get a chance to talk to them. And first of all, they're working, and then you you don't want to sort of like just hog their time and everything because there are lots of people who go to the BME. But anyways, thank you so much. If you can, on the 10th of November, which is a Sunday, do go to the Cavern for the Cavern Mecca reunion, and it's a £5 to get in and pay on the door. Because I did look if there's a ticket side to buy the ticket, but it's on the door. So hope to see you all there. Um, like I said earlier, it's happy birthday to Adios Senor Pussycat, the album Michael had and the Red Elastic Band album. It's 7 years. It was released on this day 7 years ago, produced by Steve Powell, who's Tom Powell's dad, and Tom Powell plays bass in Michael and the Red Elastic Band. Sorry, a band. And also, if you get a chance, do check out Michael Head and the Red Elastic Band's Facebook page or social media pages, Twitter, Instagram, to find out about the dates that they're playing. I saw them last Friday in Nantwich. They're absolutely amazing. You know, I've seen Mick Head solo, but with the band, is just double amazing. It's a super awesome. So yeah, hope to see some of you at the Michael Head gigs soon. Next one is in Cambridge, by the way. So at the end of the month. Anyway, so thank you all so much. And as always, love music, love life, love drummers. Paul Codman, thank you so much. See you again soon and enjoy the rest of your weekend. And for the friends in Manila, good night because it's midnight there now or after midnight. So yeah, hope to see you all again next week where we're going to have another awesome drummer guest. So that's it for me. Bye for now. Bye.